Hello everyone, today I'm going to be doing an operator analysis on one of my favorite operators in the game, which is Kapkan. So Kapkan has the options between two primary weaponry, which is a 9x19 VSN or the Saga 12 shotgun. I prefer to pick the 9x19 VSN, mainly because I believe it's one of the best submachine guns in the game. It's super accurate, has decent damage, and it just looks really good. Okay, for attachments, I usually run reflex sight, muzzle brake, and vertical grip. I prefer vertical grip over the angled grip mainly because it helps you when you're burst firing, and it has a lot less recoil if you use vertical grip over the angled grip. I suggest not putting a laser sight mainly because it really just gives out your position, and to me there's no help in accuracy when you put on a laser sight, so to me there really is no point in putting one on except for, I guess, looks. So for the Saga 12, I usually run a red dot, vertical grip, and laser sight. One interesting thing that I did find about this shotgun is that you could add a silencer, but I highly recommend not putting a silencer because I have tried it out and it's probably one of the worst weapons in the game if you put a silencer. And I mainly say this because it'll take too many shots for your gun to kill the person, so by the time you're shooting at them, the person that you're shooting at will probably turn around and kill you. So do not waste your time with this attachment, it is absolute trash, so I highly recommend not to put it on. Alright, now we're moving on to Kapkan's handguns. Kapkan has options between the PMN and the GSH-18. Of course, you have your standard high cap, high damage. I prefer to run high damage mainly because I only use a pistol when I am either finishing off an enemy or they are down. But this is completely up to you guys. Both handguns work really well. It's just really up to your preference which one you want. One thing I do suggest though is to add a silencer if your primary weapon does not have one. I mainly say this because sometimes there's situations where a drone spots you or you see a drone and you want to shoot it and you want to do this without giving out your position. So having a handgun that is silenced really helps you out in those types of situations. But the silencer is not necessary. If you guys do not want to run one, it's completely fine. It's just something to keep in mind. Alright, so now we're moving on to Kapkan's gadgets. He has the options between a nitro cell or barbed wire, and honestly guys, there is no reason not to pick nitro cell. There are so many situations where a nitro cell can help you. For example, if there is a riot shield coming, you could easily kill the player by just throwing a nitro cell at him and exploding it. Also, another thing is that since you are a defender, the only way to really get through walls is either through impact grenades or nitro cells. So if the operator has the option between barbed wire and nitro cell is going to help you and your team out a lot more than barbed wire will. So I highly recommend you guys pick nitro cell over barbed wire if you get the option to with an operator. Okay guys, right now we're going to be going over Kapkan's entry denial devices, or EDDs, which is a special ability. And I also noticed that a lot of people don't know how to use Kapkan traps. So I'm going to be giving you guys 3 tips on how to improve on his traps and how to use his ability a lot better. So to start off, one thing I do realize people do not take into consideration when using Kapkan's traps is basically lighting. And lighting is honestly one of the most important things when it comes to using Kapkan traps. And I say this mainly because when there is good lighting, it is hard to see Kapkan traps, and when there is bad lighting, it's very easy to spot them. And basically what is good lighting is basically lighting that is bright. So for an example, I decided to bring out this clip right here. And as you can see, I put down a Kapkan trap down in a bright area. And as you can see guys, when there is good lighting behind the Kapkan trap, you can see that this thing is barely visible. You would really have to focus in to even see it. So I actually have a clip of this actually working during a match, and the end result was pretty funny. So here you go, check it out guys.
Last operator standing.
So now guys, we're going to be moving on to bad examples of lighting when it comes to using Kapkan's traps. So as you can see guys, that this is obviously pretty bad when it comes to putting Kapkan's trap, mainly because it's super visible. So this basically means the darker it is, the easier it is to see a trap, and the brighter it is, the harder it is to see a trap. And this basically leads me on to my next subject, which is basically barricades and how it affects your traps. So the one thing you guys should know about barricades is to never place a Kapkan trap on a castle barricade. Mainly I say this because when there is a castle barricade, usually the enemy will blow it up with an ash charge or a breach charge, and when they do this, they basically destroy your Kapkan trap. So there really is no point in putting one on there. And when it comes to placing Kapkan traps on normal barricades like wooden ones, I highly suggest you guys do that if the trap is very visible. This basically means that the enemy could either break it with one hit or vault over it, and if they do decide to vault over the barricade, this basically means that they're going to hit your trap. And I do recommend this for areas that is not near the objective, mainly because enemies don't usually check or they don't mind vaulting over. And if you're near the objective, a lot of enemies won't vault over, mainly because they're too cautious and worried about entering a room filled with people. So that's why I suggest putting it outside the objective room if you're going to do a 2-hit break trap. This also moves me on to my next subject, which is basically location. Location is another big factor when it comes to placing Kapkan's traps, mainly because if you place a Kapkan trap inside the objective and they are peeking in the room, a lot of times you're going to see it before they even come in. So it's probably best not to put it inside the objective room on certain maps, but I do recommend putting them around the objective on the outside. There are occasions though where if an enemy does vault over a wooden barricade, they probably won't trip off the trap depending how low your Kapkan trap is. So now guys, I'm be showing you guys how to utilize Kapkan to his best potential. Even though Kapkan has 3 armor, I honestly think he's probably one of the best roamers in the game, but I usually only use him in side rooms, and I try to keep him close to the objective, mainly because if he's way too far, he is way too slow to go to the objective quickly if the enemy is securing it and nobody else is around, so I like to keep him close. So I'm going to be going over the 3 mistakes people often make when playing Kapkan. Number 1 would probably be placing traps way too high. I don't understand why people do this. When a Kapkan trap is placed super high like that, it's so obvious when people just look at it because it's at eye level. So I don't see how people place it up that high, especially since they have the option to place it down to the ankles, which basically hides the Kapkan trap for any sight line. The second mistake I see people make is that they roam way too far from the objective with Kapkan. This is a huge mistake on their part because if the enemy gets in the room and you or some other team are the only ones left, it's going to be very difficult for anybody to get back with the objective with Kapkan, mainly because he's a 3 armored operator. So this makes him very slow, so it's a good idea to roam with Kapkan, but make sure to stay near the objective or on the side rooms. And finally, one of the biggest mistakes I see people make with Kapkan is placing his laser tripwires way too far from the objective. People often place the Kapkan traps way outside the objective, mainly because they think they're going to get a random kill. But honestly guys, I think this doesn't really work. I think it's best just to place the Kapkan traps outside near the objective. I say this mainly because I feel you'll get more kills with the Kapkan traps, because since the thing's closer to the objective, there's a more likelihood a person might run into it instead of being all the way on the opposite side of the map. So it's best to place it there than some random location that's totally on the opposite side of the map that probably won't get any kills for you. Okay guys, so now I'm be rating Kapkan on 3 categories, which is loadout, gadgets, and team efficiency. For Kapkan's loadout, I'm going to have to give him a 7.5 out of 10. I love his 9x19, but honestly his shotgun isn't the greatest, and that's what really brings down his score for loadout, even though he does have Nitro Cell for an option. For Kapkan's gadget, I'm probably going to have to give him a 9 out of 10 for it, mainly because if it's utilized correctly, his gadget is probably one of the funnest gadgets to use and one of the most efficient. And I know a lot of people are probably going to disagree with me when I say that he has a 9 out of 10 gadget, but I honestly do believe his gadget is one of the best in the game, mainly because I play Kapkan all the time and I know how to use his gadget, and when I use his gadgets I get tons of kills with it. For Kapkan's team effectiveness, I'm going to have to give him a 6 out of 10, mainly because Kapkan doesn't bring any major factor when it comes to team play, and I think that Kapkan's gadget slows down the enemies and kind of makes them more cautious of where they're stepping. But I honestly don't think that his trap helps out the team as much as other people's stuff like Jaeger's ABSs or Mute's jammers. So that's why I chose 6 out of 10 for his team efficiency. So these scores bring Kapkan's score to a 7.5 out of 10 for his overall rating. Even though he did receive a 7.5 out of 10, I honestly think he's probably one of the funnest operators to play, so that's why he is my personal favorite. And finally, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, and help me out by hitting a thumbs up on the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want more operator videos like this one, I'll be posting more later. So hit that subscribe button if you guys want to see more, and thanks for watching.